We're doing a terrible twofer today, Flutter Brutter as well as Applejack's day off. So I may have giggled when I heard Fluttershy's brother sounded a lot like... And yes, Hasbro is aware of Equestria Daily's existence. That kept me giggling for about 9 minutes, and I assumed that this was another daring don't, and this was another direct shot at the fans, or at least the basement-dwelling 4chan ones. What makes an episode great, or at least fun, is much like... This episode wears out its welcome far too fast. Here, let me explain why. Fluttershy on arrival knows how to handle her brother and help her parents out immediately. FNGR, this is a bad thing, you ask? She's showing character growth, assertiveness, and we're getting the right mare for the job. The problem is that when the main protagonist knows exactly what to do and has the problem fixed in under half of the episode, everything after that sort of becomes a bit of a drag. About the time that Rainbow Dash takes off is about the same time that the audience wants to file out of town. Freeloaders come in many archetypes. Is a complete unlikable douche. Surely you have or known someone who's had to shake someone else down for money. Possessed none of these skills. Don't believe me? Look at Celestia. She's gotten by on hard work of the others since day one. For a proper way to look at this, look at Rarity working Spike, and that's entertaining. Is terrible at it.
You said you had plenty of places to go.
What the fuck was that? How did that defeat anyone?
Go away, 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 why is he here, why is he here, why is he here, why is he here, go away, go away, go away.
Hear that? That's common sense, and logic beating you in the face. Okay, there is no way Rarity would give the time of day, much less a job. Looks and acts like a bum. He's literally everything Rarity would want nothing to do with. I understand Rarity is likely doing Flutters a solid, but even still, she'd take one look at this guy and just...
No.
And another thing, there is no way in fuck she'd let a bum like... alone in her house. This is worse than a James Bond villain leaving when someone is about to die in a elaborate death trap. Like, who else does this?
You know, like you said, it was easy.
Where's Spike?
Up here!
You were supposed to supervise, not do all the work.
I was supervising, and then Zephyr asked me about different cleaning techniques and which one was best, and if I could... Hey! I did all the work!
See this? This is how you make a likable bum character. You ever notice that when she hits on Dash half the time, it's to get her to back off? I'd suggest it's 90% trolling. He literally only does it to Dash. I kinda suspect he's been doing this forever, which is why he hasn't gotten the snot beaten out of him. And when I mean forever, likely since they were kids. After all, Flutters and Rainbows go way back. Some of you guys might find Rainbow's patience with this guy unbelievable, and some of the more warped shippers may find this inspiring. I simply think it's an act of familiarity. And here's the problem with... We all have that friend or friends or family who threaten to storm off or run away, but Lord only knows they can't handle themselves. This could and should have been shown a lot earlier. A quick flashback to storming off that would have been why the parents kept putting up with him. This is a rare and entirely unexpected moment. Of all the people I think that they could have done this with, I think this is actually the right one. But what the hell was this guy doing with a cutie mark? Like, I'm guessing his talent is getting out of work, but if so, I wanted to see that in the first time in a flashback. Can you imagine how hysterically depressing that would be? I've had some of my peers say this story was dumb, boring, insulting, obvious, but that's never been a problem. Party of One is beyond obvious. No one watched that episode and thought for a second Pinky's friends were going to ditch her. That story was so good that they rehashed it for Pinky Pride, where Pinky knows her friends still love her, but it still messes with her. And yes, that the audience can see that it's dumb. But it's very important because of one thing that spans throughout that episode and virtually every episode. The main protagonist, i.e. the lead, cares what's going on. Applejack doesn't give an apple fritter about the spa. This isn't basic writing, it's basic life. I.e., if you were a jury and a lawyer yawned or got bored while he was talking, you'd start to lose interest. Imagine if a politician yawned during a speech, or kept checking his watch. Would you care what he or she had to say? And just like that, the story is dead on arrival. No matter how dumb or poorly made the story is, the people in it have to be involved. Remember What About Discord? Twilight at least cared to find out what was happening. So if you were more involved in her character than I was at that time, at least you would have the option to come along for the ride. Remember Appaloosa's Most Wanted? Every character in that train wreck, from the townsfolk to the CMC, to Applejacks to Troubleshoes, at the least cared what was going on. You could argue that Troubleshoes was apathetic, but at least they established a light with apathy for that character to explain that away. Then there is this.
Quite sure she'll be too busy once again. What do you mean?
Oh, nothing.
It's just that Applejack and I haven't had one of our spa days in ages. You two really should set aside some time. Darling, I have been trying for moons, but
4 moons, which many of you have accounted for as 4 months. For 4 months, Applejack didn't care enough to make time for Rarity. Not only is that not a starter, that's not even a friendship anymore. I don't feel that Applejack's out of character or poorly written. I think it makes sense that Applejack would focus on her job more than her friends. That's not even open to debate. Now let me blow your mind. Since the start of Analysis and Review, we've had characters and analysts alike beat you over the head with flanderization and out of character, as if keeping canon is the Ark of the Covenant. What if, in this episode, Rarity talked Applejack into taking the day off, blowing off her responsibilities to go slack off? Applejack letting her hair down, you get a vintage Rarajack buddy episode. Now, would that be out of character? You'd have to write Rarity to manipulate Applejack out of her responsibilities, and yes, when Rarity wants something bad enough, that's totally within her character for her to do so. And for the record, I swear to you, I'm not beating up on Rarity. And do you know why? Rarity is in fact being selfish. Rarity being selfish is in fact the best thing in this episode. Do you know why? She cares. She's invested in the spa, in the fact that she's the only thing moving this story along. I think the writers knew the source material. They just didn't know how to put the magic half of friendship as magic. Oh, I almost forgot, this is the best thing about the episode. Rarity has 3 shops. Her story arc since the start of the show has continued to grow. After running 3 shops and having less and less time, it makes more sense why this is a big deal. Rarity, 4 moons, even if you think that's 4 days, 4 times for Rarity to be livid with Applejack. Again, whether this is 4 days, 4 weeks, or 4 months, that means at the very least, Applejack blew off Rarity 4 times. Now, do I understand why Applejack is doing it? Totally. But even still, Rarity's reaction is entirely on the money, and she's literally the only thing good in this episode. Twilight, despite being able to knock out Applejack's chores in Applebuck season in seconds, has to go exactly by the list. And do you know why? The original reason was to make Applejack's life more manageable in Applebuck season, and now Twilight's an alicorn. It doesn't make any sense. She's literally had 5 to 6 seasons to grow and now she's doing things worse? I'd like to call it out of character, except if you look at season 6, I feel like the character's going completely in reverse the whole time. This could have easily been fixed if Spike himself had stepped in for Applejack. Rarity could have gave him the bedroom eyes. Bing bang boom, he'd be doing Applejack's chores, and he could have one good point at the end with, "This is dumb, why don't you try this?" I know what you're saying, what about Spike at your service? And putting Spike in charge of the barn is a bad idea. But why is the Alicorn Princess doing this job? I think this would totally help out AJ, but they had to limit her in a way that she already knew how to fix. You know who would have been great for this? I know they said she was busy, but Applebloom. You could have revisited Applejack learning to trust her sister, and have some pony to watch over me stand for something. Applebloom could have taught her bullheaded sister a thing, or they could have had the whole CMC watching the farm, the 2 sisters and Scoots filling in for their big sisters. And you know what? Rainbow Dash was already at the spa, it could have been all 3. Hell, if you swapped Twilight Sparkle for Starlight Glimmer, you could have had Applejack insisting not only to let her not use her magic after that, after what she did to Big Mac, at least it would have made sense that she didn't instantly fix things. It was nice to see Rainbow take herself a little less serious this episode. It's been overdue by a lot, but sadly thus far, this is one of 3 major gutterballs this season. See you next time.